is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Mourn them, do not. Miss them, do not.
So why did I show that video? Why that clip in particular? Well, I love Star Wars. And my mother died the same year Revenge of the Sith came out. And that line helped me. It gave me peace. You know, possibly when I wouldn't have found it anywhere else, but that line from Revenge of the Sith possibly solidified Star Wars as a very important part of my life. That's why that scene's in there. So I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of part of the graphic novel Showdown on Smuggler's Moon. I'm not going to do it word for word because I don't know if, I'll get in trouble just for reading it out loud. So we pick up at the beginning where Luke, in the first one, Skywalker Strikes, Luke's gone back to Tatooine because he's trying to find answers on being a Jedi post Death Star. That's when it's set. So he goes to Obi-Wan Kenobi's old house and he finds the journal of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it picks up and there's pirates that are stealing water on behalf of Jabba the Hutt. And obviously Obi-Wan's not doing anything because he can't interfere. And it starts off with, as hard as it was to become a Jedi, it was even harder to stop being one. But I did. By the time of the Great Drought, it had been years since I'd touched a lightsaber. Years spent in hiding on Tatooine. Years spent alone. I wasn't General Obi-Wan Kenobi anymore. I was no longer a Jedi Master. I was only Ben. Quiet old Ben who lived far out in the Dune Sea, where nothing but womp rats and Tusken Raiders ever dared to go. Ben the forgotten hermit. Ben the relic. One day blurred into the next, with little to distinguish them. Instead of Sith Lords and bounty hunters, my days were spent battling monotony and inactivity. I should have been busier than ever. I should have been training the boy. But his uncle never allowed it. And I suppose there was a part of me that couldn't blame him. The last Skywalker I tried to train was gone. They were all gone, all the Jedi, and sometimes I wondered if I should have gone with them. But I did still have one job to do, and I did it the best I could. And what happens next is these same pirates go to the Lars house and they steal the water, and Ben protects the family, and he says, in inverted commas, if I couldn't train the boy, I could at least keep him safe, and hope there would come a day when he'd realise for himself that he was meant to be more than just a farmer. So he's protected the Lars family and, by extension, Luke from these pirates, And we find out that it was the worst drought anyone could remember. The moisture farmers could barely gather enough water from their evaporators to keep themselves alone, let alone to Trude for food and supplies, especially with Jabba's thugs collecting water taxes. Rumour was it that the bloated gangster took lavish baths all through the day, lest he perspire in the heat, but I didn't believe that rumour. I'd met Jabba. Jabba had never bathed in his life. But it was no rumour that people were dying, and I was letting it happen. You never trained me for this, Master Qui-Gon. You never taught me how to fade away. And obviously Ben has to do something, and he does. And he uses the Force somehow to make the guns all misfire, and the residents are able to get the water back off Jabba's thugs. And Ben says, I shouldn't have done that. I knew it. There was too much at risk. After that day, I decided it was best if I didn't go into town anymore. And he's thinking to himself in solitude, and he's imagining what his master Qui-Gon would say to him. There's a strength and nobility in restraint. I know that's what you'd tell me, Master Qui-Gon, but nothing about this feels noble. The people here are dying while I do nothing. I cannot fight as a Jedi. I cannot train the boy. I am lost here, Master. Lost, and then he senses that Luke's in trouble. I could sense it from across the Dune Sea. The one job I still had left, I had just failed at. And what's happened is these thugs have come back, and little Luke, the important one, they catch him trying to steal the water back that they've stolen, and obviously they're not too happy about this. And they're about to kidnap him and take him as a slave when Ben intervenes. And he intervenes and he saves Luke, and he takes him back to the family. And it picks up. The farmers got their water back, enough to survive a bit longer. About a week later, the drought finally lifted, and the evaporator started churning out again. Jabba was enraged and vowed to scour the desert to find the thief, but no one knew who he was, not the beaten guards he'd beaten or the farmers he helped. No one knew what he looked like. No one knew what to call him. And at that moment, Obi-Wan picks up his lightsaber again and sparks it. And he says, my name is Obi-Wan Kenobi, the last of my order. But this is not the end of the Jedi. All it took was a young boy's courage to assure me of that. Let us hope that someday soon I can tell that boy this story. Now, similar premise to what we're getting in Obi-Wan Kenobi now, where Ben is, in Obi-Wan Kenobi the show, Ben's a beaten old man who's given up completely. He says he's there to train the boy, but he can't. Alright? He's there to train the boy, but he can't. He's a tuna chef. He's a tuna farmer. That's what he's doing. He's broken, completely broken. Now compare that to this comic. He's undercover. Yes, he hasn't been allowed to train the boy, but he still protects him. He actively protects him. We see him actively protecting the boy. Now, you could just say they've pretty much copied it almost, or will end up copying that scene almost word for word by the time Obi-Wan's finished. But instead of saving Luke, he's saving Leia instead. Well, that's just a cop-out. And if it does end up like that, I would suggest, rather than taking inspiration from the source material, it will be just dumb luck and bad writing on Disney's part. Yeah, we've got this. There's two very different Obi-Wans here. One from the source material that still manages to respect him, and we get Obi-Wan's version, which doesn't. So, the graphic novel I just read through, I don't know if it's still considered canon or not. But one thing that is considered canon is the Ahsoka novel. And I'm going to read a page here from chapter 2. And this is, Ahsoka's meditating. And in it says, the Force felt differently now, and Ahsoka wasn't sure how much of the difference was her. By walking away from the Jedi, from the temple, she had given up her right to the Force, or at least that's what she told herself sometimes. She knew it was a lie. The Force was always going to be part of her, whether she was trained or not. The way it was part of everything. She couldn't remove the parts of her that were sensitive to it any more than she could breathe on the wrong side of an airlock. Her authority was gone. her power remained. So what do we learn from that passage? We learn that you can't cut yourself off from the Force. Because the Force is always there. She will always be Force sensitive. Whether she practices or not now. Because indeed in this, she can run. She can use the Force if she wants to. But she doesn't, because there's no point taking unnecessary risks. So in one thing that's canon, the Force is like a tap. You can turn it on and off. But if we watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV show, the Force is a mental block. You stop. It's like in, is it Spider-Man 2, where he stops being able to shoot his web because he's mental blocked. And that's what they're saying here. They're boiling down Obi-Wan Kenobi to Spider-Man. Because Obi-Wan can't use the Force because he's so traumatized. He's turned itself off from the Force, yet Ahsoka says you can't. The Force is always with you. You're always Force sensitive. You can be able to, Ben should be able to turn that on and off. I understand him not using it, just as a general precaution. Yeah? Even in Jedi Fallen Order, he isn't completely cut off from. So why am I annoyed with this? And I am annoyed, really. I haven't felt this pissed off with a franchise since Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because that completely ruined. It was already going downhill as far as I was concerned. But that was a shit thing that just completely ruined the franchise for me. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't ruin Star Wars for me, because I just watched the 6 films anyway. 7 if you count Rogue One. I like Rebels. I like Clone Wars. So it's not ruined my childhood or anything dramatic like that, but it has ruined Star Wars for me in a way. Because now I don't care about what comes forward. I'd have always loved to see new Star Wars content. But unfortunately, Star Wars at the moment is going the same route as Marvel. Well, you promise us one thing, but giving us something different. We have a Hawkeye show that isn't about Hawkeye. Or it's very vaguely about Hawkeye. We have a Loki show that isn't about Loki. We have a WandaVision show that isn't about fucking Vision. It's all about Wanda. And now we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he's being led around either by secret double fucking rebel agent or a 10-year-old Princess Leia. And he's being downplayed in his own show to buff them up. Now, anything I criticise about any show is not because of an actor's skin colour. Not even necessarily about their acting ability, because you can have the best actor in the world, but if you put him in fucking shit, you can have fucking Lionel Messi come play for Latics. Don't mean he's going to make the rest of them look fucking good. And that's just the same with what's happening here with Star Wars. She may well be a very good actor. This kid playing Leia may well become a very, very good actor. Ewan McGregor may well be a very good actor, and in some things he is, but in this he's not doing very good. But they've not got a lot to work with. They can only do as directed, or as it has been written. So like I said, nothing is aimed at the individual person. It's just the direction and the writing. And you've broken canon multiple times, even though you said you wouldn't. Now, I don't care whether the Grand Inquisitor is alive or not now. You don't get to pull it, oh, we got you, surprise. No, you don't get to do that now. Yeah, because you killed him for the expense of making Reva look all powerful, all great. Now, she may well be a good actress, but not in this. Not in this. I know you're not supposed to like the baddies. Yeah? So, they've made her be unlikable. All right, okay. The Lannisters in Game of Thrones were unlikable. Were the baddies, but you know, you could kind of go along with them, you know, especially Jamie Lannister. You know, Thanos is a baddie, but you can get his side of the fucking picture. You can more emotionally understand perhaps what it is he means. You know, what his drive is, what his goal is. And all this hasn't given us anything. You know, the only thing we have is, oh, she's possibly one of the younglings, the Padawans from Order 66. That's her, and we're only going off the colour of her skin. So how fucking racist is that one? Well, it's the only black one, so it must be her, right? You've broke canon. Why is Leia in this show? The source material that I read from already had plenty. And no doubt there's even more graphic novels and comics that we don't know about. If you want, you know, you could have done a Vader story and not have it involve Obi-Wan Kenobi. You want a really good Vader story? Force Unleashed. That's a great Vader story. But that's not being made, is it, unfortunately? That would make an excellent TV show. Force Unleashed. Darth Vader's secret apprentice to overthrow the Emperor. And then we learn about what happens throughout the game where, you know, they were using him to get all the rebellion factions together under one banner so they could have one swift, decisive battle, take them all out. That would have been a good Darth Vader story. Yeah, you could have even had Obi-Wan Kenobi in it as a cameo. You know? Because Proxy turns into Obi-Wan because he's trying to kill Starkiller. You could have had a perfect story for Darth Vader just there. But they didn't. And that's fine, you know, it's Disney's money. I'm not funding them. So what does it matter? But you're killing it. You're killing Star Wars. If it's not already dead completely, you're sucking the soul out of it. You've marvelised it to the point where people don't care. You know, the only good thing, decent, nearly good thing is The Mandalorian. Because Boba Fett was nothing but key jangling. You know, one of the few saving graces of Obi-Wan Kenobi has been that there hasn't been the amount of cameos I thought there would be. I honestly thought Grogu was going to be in this. I honestly thought the Ghost Crew was going to pop up. You know, honestly, because Disney can't help themselves. And so this time, okay, they've shown restraint. And that makes me quite happy, it really does. But you've turned Obi-Wan into a fucking lapdog. You know, 10-year-old Princess Leia, which could have been a good thing, except she's not acting like 10-year-old Princess Leia. She's acting like 19-year-old Princess Leia. She's acting like Princess Leia in front of Grand Moff Tarkin. She's 10 years old in this. Have her play a 10-year-old. Have her play as someone who's fucking frightened because some big scary inquisitors are threatening to kill her. You know, she mentally blocks the Inquisitor. That should have been a giveaway for being force sensitive. You just ruined Star Wars for a lot of people, and now you're just a meme. Yeah, I want good content. I don't tune into stuff hoping it's going to be shit. I even want you're coming up to Batwoman levels of bad. And that takes some doing. But when you've got Princess fucking Leia hid under a fucking Macintosh as Obi-Wan Kenobi walks out of the Imperial base, and not one Imperial soldier, officer, pilot, Inquisitor notices. Fuck off. What are you doing to the franchise? If you haven't got any ideas, source material. Fucking loads of it. You know, and like I said, people, why are you getting so angry? It's just a TV show. You're right, it is just a TV show, just like they were just films to begin with. But just wait. Star Trek has fallen, has gone, been taken away from us into woke shite. Doctor Who has been destroyed. Star Wars has been destroyed. They're coming for Harry Potter next. At some point, Harry Potter's next. And all the Harry Potter fans who think this is funny, they're coming for your stuff. Sooner or later, Stargate's next. Stargate will be fucked over when Amazon start making it again. Lord of the Rings is definitely gone now. Yeah. So it's alright saying, no, it's just a TV show, but wait until they come after the thing that you love. The thing that you spent money on. I've got fucking numerous pictures, numerous toys from when I was a child that I hope one day, if I have children, they'll play with. I've got different DVD box sets. I've got T-shirts of Star Wars. I've got I've played all the games of Star Wars. Yeah, I've put my soul into Star Wars. I just like it if they do the same.